So the Pythagorean theorem is a relationship between the three sides of a right triangle. The two sides that make up the right triangle are the legs A and B, and the hypotenuse is the side that is opposite of the right angle. I'm going to call that C. So the formula for the Pythagorean theorem is a squared plus b squared. So this is the sum of the squares of the legs equals c squared. So where does this come from? Let's say I have a big square and I divide that square, the sides of the square, into a and b. So the area of the square is a plus b quantity squared. And inside that square, I have another square whose sides are c. So I know that the area of any square, well, I just take one of the sides and I square it, and that gets me the area. So for this, the side length is a plus b. If I square that, that gets me the area of this square, the entire square. Well, I could also get the area of each of these four triangles added to the area of the inside square, and that should also get me the same area. So the area for each of the triangles, well, there's four triangles. I know the area of a triangle is 1/2 times base times height. So I have 1/2. The base would be A, the height could be B, and that's the area of all four triangles. And I need to add that to the area of the inside square. The inside square is c squared. So if I simplify this, I get c squared plus 2ab is equal to a. I also know that a, the area, is equal to a plus b squared. So I can set these equal to each other. C squared plus 2ab is equal to a plus b quantity squared. If I FOIL that out, I get a squared plus 2ab plus b squared. Both sides have a 2ab, so I'm going to subtract that from both sides, and I get a squared plus b squared is equal to c squared. So that's the Pythagorean theorem. So let's do a couple of problems. Where does this come into play? If I have a right triangle and I have the hypotenuse, I do not know, but I know that one of the legs has a measurement of 5, one of them has a measurement of 12. Well, I can find the length of this hypotenuse because I know this is a right triangle and I know two of the other sides. So I know the legs here. The legs are the sides that make up the right angle. So I know that a squared plus b squared is equal to c squared. So 5 squared plus 12 squared is equal to c squared. 5 squared is 25. 12 squared is 144. So c squared is equal to 169. But that's giving me c squared. What if I want the c? I want the actual length of the hypotenuse, so I have to square root both sides. And I get c equals 13. It's not negative here because we're talking about a distance. So here I got a whole number for my hypotenuse. I just solved the side length of, or the hypotenuse length of this right triangle using the Pythagorean theorem. I got a whole number. That's because these numbers 5, 12, and 13 are what are called Pythagorean triple. This right triangle has these whole numbers as sides. Another example would be 3, 4, and 5. Let's say I have a right triangle and I know the hypotenuse is 5, one of the lengths is 4. I don't know the other length. So I'm going to use the Pythagorean theorem to solve that. A squared, I don't know what a is, plus b squared, 4 would be my b, is equal to c squared, 5 would be my c. That's my hypotenuse. It's the side that is opposite of the right angle. So a squared is equal to 5 squared minus 4 squared if I subtract 4 squared from both sides. So a squared is equal to 25 minus 16, which is 9. So a is equal to 3 if I square root both sides. So a here is 3. I've solved for all sides of the right triangle. That is another Pythagorean triple, 3, 4, 5. And there are many more, but you won't always get a whole number for your answer. Let's do another example. I'll make it up. Let's say this is 6 and this is 2. What is this? You do not have to label them as A, B, and C. I'm just doing that to have some consistency here. So I know a squared plus b squared equals c squared. That's the Pythagorean theorem. So how do I solve for this b, this leg? Well, one of the legs is 2, so 2 squared plus b squared is equal to, the hypotenuse is 6, so 6 squared, So b squared is equal to 6 squared minus 2 squared. 6 squared is 36, 2 squared is 4. So b squared is equal to 36 minus 4, which is 32. So b is equal to the square root of 32. And I can simplify this into the square root of 8 times the square root of 4. So that gets me 2 root 8. So that is b. And I can actually simplify this even more. This is 4 root 2. So that is a Pythagorean theorem. You can use it to solve for different sides of a right triangle. This is where it comes from, which it's cool to know, but the more important thing is you know how to use the Pythagorean theorem. When are you solving for the hypotenuse? When are you solving for the legs? And yeah.